Hello, good evening, and welcome back. This is a little fun one with the difference between working from home and working in an office. And there are a few different things at play here. For a start, there is the cost of commuting, whether that be the travel time or the actual financial cost. Then there is, of course, having to wear a uniform, the pros and cons of that. And then finally, there is interacting with other people on a physical basis, as in being able to rub shoulders with other people, and the pros and cons of that. As they say, PricewaterhouseCoopers says start when you like, leave when you like. The idea being you can work a couple of days a week from home or a couple of days from the office. It's up to you. As long as you get the work done, they don't really give a shit. And why should they, to be quite frank? That they're going to have their guidelines there in order to help you perform if you're not sure what to do. But at the end of the day, if you can bring in the results, then yeah, more power to you. Who cares? Whatever method works for you might not work for other people, but it's down to you to find out. If you don't know what to do, then, as I say, they've got suggestions, and if you want more mentoring and more time in the office, as other companies are suggesting, then by all means go for that, in which case you can find people right there. You don't need to fire them an email or give them a call. Instead, you just walk down a bit and say, hey, having this problem, here's what I've tried, here's how it hasn't quite worked, would you mind helping me just fine tweak this in order to see if we can get the results we're looking for? Job's a good one. But if you're in a position where you're satisfied with where you are, you're not really looking to progress anymore, it's not a dead-end job per se, but you're happy where you are, then by all means, chill a bit. You've reached your apex in where you want to be in life. You're quite comfortable with where you are, what you're learning, what you're doing. By all means, pull back a little. Spend some more time relaxing. Find your work-life balance that you probably pushed to one side in order to further your career. By all means, go ahead. But, and this is the big thing, do not expect to be next in line for promotions if you're not seen to be busy and if you're not seen to be getting the same results or better results than other people. Obviously, you're not going to be promoted if you're average and if you're not putting the effort in. So, of course, in order to make this a bigger deal, they have to say, oh, it's going to affect women most. Why? Why is it going to affect women most? And they don't say why. They could be suggesting that it's because women would be spending more time at home with the children. So, okay, well, surely that's their decision. If they don't want to spend as much time working and they'd rather be with their family, fair enough. That's fine. That's a perfectly acceptable life decision. Go do that. You do not have to be in the office. If you'd rather be working instead of being with your family, then your employer is going to like that, even if your family don't. So pick one and stick with it, whichever you want. Which is more important to you, your career or your family? Yeah. And then you find that balance, but don't expect other people to do it for you. They won't go, you're a great family man or a great family woman. That's brilliant. You're always looking after them. You always prioritise them. You spend a lot of time with them. And even if it gets in the way of your work, you're always going to be there for them. Fantastic. We're going to promote you. Of course not. Of course it's not going to work. Your children, your family are going to have one set of priorities and your employer is going to have the other. And it's up to you to find the balance that works for you. Hopefully, you'll have a partner with you in order to help find that balance. Otherwise, if you're a single parent, well, seems like you've already made some bad life decisions. So, best of luck in fixing them. So, back to the questions at the top. Right, so, the first one's a doozy. It's great. In terms of not having to spend so much time commuting in order to get into work. Well, that is most certainly brilliant. Ideally, you'd have work on your doorstep essentially, so that your commuting time is 0, and you're right there. Fantastic. Otherwise, of course, you've got to spend time and therefore get up earlier and get ready for work earlier than you would otherwise, in order to spend time getting into work. Now, that commute could be a gift in a way, because you're not distracted at all, and you can focus on something other than driving. For example, listening to news or audiobooks or podcasts or lectures or whatever it is that is good for your job or good for the soul, and that would be ideal. That would be a great use of the time, and certainly do that. If it's not a job you enjoy, then you'll probably need to listen to something else to get you in the mood, and therefore look for a different job. But that is one way to actually make the commute worthwhile. There is no need to be listening to the radio, for example. Okay, cool. However, seeing as it is biting into your sleep time, if you don't wish to reschedule to allow time for an hour or an hour and a half a day for listening to podcasts and, take matters into your own hands, then it's understandable. You want to work, and when you're not working, you want to not work. Fair enough. At which point, it comes down to who is in charge of the roads and the infrastructure and getting traffic running smoothly. Well, that would be the same entity which is world-renowned for being absolutely shit at getting things to run efficiently and cost-effective. Yeah, you got it in one. That's a ding, 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 Johnny. That's the government. And they've had this problem for quite a while, to be perfectly frank. And let us hope that then COVID called this into question. Right, okay, cool. That's not COVID, sorry. The lockdown called this into question. Then you might be going, alright, well, if the opportunity is there to work from home, then why on earth would you need to go back to the office? Well, a couple of reasons. One is uniform, because they mention tracksuit Zoom calls and all that, which is a shit idea, simply because it's good to change between work and home, obviously, and I'm sure you wear different clothing for work as you do for home. Right, and that's why uniforms work as well, because what you wear puts you in a certain state of mind. I'm sure you guys have had this before, that if you wear a suit, you feel very different to wearing a tracksuit. It's universal. You've experienced it yourself, and if you don't know what I mean, try it tomorrow. Change from a suit to a tracksuit or tracksuit to a suit, and you'll feel very, very different. Not only do you look different, but you'll receive differently, but also you have that innate feeling. Right, so that is therefore going to affect how you work. And I remember having this bit of advice when I was just revising for exams at GCSE and A-level, that even if you're, during the summer holidays or Christmas holidays, Easter break, whatever it might be, and you want to get some work done and you're finding it difficult, just get dressed into the school uniform and then do the work. You'll find it has that little psychological switch that will help you to get the work done. And it's definitely true. And this is why employers like having a dress code or maybe even a uniform for their employees, because it then helps to put them in the right state of mind in order to get the work done. So having those relaxed, even if they're unenforceable, like, being from home, is then going to cause a problem. That's not to mention the other distractions that you get at home, which you wouldn't at work. For example, if you're at home and you're supposed to be working and you see distractions on your phone, you're not really going to think twice about having a gander, see what's going on. Whereas if you're at work, you're concerned someone's going to be breathing down your neck, in which case you're going to have second thoughts about checking your phone during business hours or office hours, quite understandably. And then it comes down to problem solving, troubleshooting, that kind of thing. That if you're home and if you're all separated, if you run into an issue or want somebody's advice, and maybe want to break and have a chit chat and see how people are getting on with the problems that you're facing, if you are that work oriented, which I hope you are, then you're going to want that time, and you might call somebody, but they might be having a break at a different time, in which case they're not going to answer your call until they're free, which is going to be when you're busy again. Whereas it is much easier if you're in an office space to kind of have a more coordinated set scheduled time, and then being able to have a group collaborative impromptu meeting around the water cooler in order to discuss things, instead of trying to do it through phone calls and group WhatsApp messaging and all that crap. And again, that will blend the work-life balance. So having those interactions with the people at work definitely helps you to get on with your day and do the things you're supposed to do and feel better about it. Not least because, of course, you'll be receiving encouragement from your peers. So that definitely helps with being in that environment. And then, yet another one, which isn't so important these days, but historically it definitely was, which is that your office would have all the tools for the job that you needed, whereas your home would not. These days, seeing as computers are bloody brilliant and can do pretty much anything, then you don't really need the tools that the office provides, because you probably have them at home because they only cost a couple £100 and you use them for loads of other things, like watching my videos. Leave a like, thanks. But it used to be the case that you need to be at the office in order to have access to the tools, whether that be an auto dialer or the directory or just a computer itself, or maybe a printer, fax machine, whatever it might be. Whereas now it's all digital and you can access it from home, so you don't really need the tools for the job that they provide. So yeah, why not work from home? The result that we've seen is, of course, well, let's say Canary Wharf, for example, then, which currently only has about 6,000 going to work compared to over 100,000 pre-pandemic. And of course there's a knock-on effect for the local bars, restaurants, cafes, corner shops, convenience stores, that kind of thing, because they're not having the foot traffic that they used to. But that was kind of an add-on from what was being prioritised originally. And one final thought, just to wrap up, is that for anybody who's thinking, yeah, we can work from home, we don't actually need that office interaction, two things. One is, tradition is there for a reason, and you might think that it's outdated now, you moved on, in which case I'm going to need a little bit more persuading, above what I've already mentioned in the other video here today, about why it's okay to now leave that tradition behind of interacting with the people you work with. And secondly, if it's possible to do your work from home, that means you don't need to be in the office. And if you don't need to be in the office, why do you need to be in the country? So could your job be done by somebody who isn't in the country? And if so, is their cost of living over there much lower that they'd be willing to accept, half your salary? In which case, are you now talking yourself out of a job? Now, I'm not one for protectionism and rackets and the like. However, if you are, or you're concerned about your own job, that is definitely something to take stock of. But hey, let me know what you guys think down below. Always intrigued to hear what you have to say. And as always, until next time, have a good one.